Right now, you probably have something ancient humans couldn't simply build. A door. You close it, and suddenly the rest of the world disappears. You can be alone with your partner. You can sleep, change clothes, or simply do things you wouldn't want your entire family watching. Modern humans are so used to privacy that we barely notice it anymore. But now, take the walls away. Imagine living 50,000 years ago. You're part of a small community, maybe a few dozen people. Your parents are nearby. Your siblings are nearby. Your relatives are nearby. Other members of your group are nearby. And there are no bedrooms with locking doors, no apartments, no soundproof walls, no hotel you can simply disappear into. Yet humans still formed long-term relationships. They formed families. And, like humans today, they had intimate lives. So how did they get any privacy? The first thing we have to understand is that ancient humans weren't living alone. For hunter-gatherers, the group was extremely important. People could cooperate to find food, share resources, protect one another, care for children, and survive dangerous environments. So simply leaving the group wasn't really an option. You couldn't just say, "I'm going somewhere private," and disappear for 3 days. Your survival depended on maintaining relationships with other people. But here's the interesting part. Privacy doesn't necessarily require walls. It requires people understanding boundaries. Think about modern life. Imagine you're visiting a friend. You notice 2 people going into another room together. You probably don't follow them. Nobody has to explain the rules to you. You simply understand. That's their private moment. Humans are extremely good at recognizing situations like this. A couple moves away from the group. They find a quieter location. They separate themselves from everyone else. And other people understand what's happening. They don't necessarily need a wall to know. Don't go there. Now, we can't know exactly what signals prehistoric couples used. Archaeology can't show us a couple from 50,000 years ago asking everyone else for privacy. But anthropology gives us something important. Humans living in close-knit groups can develop incredibly complex social rules. Rules about relationships. Rules about personal space. Rules about who can interact with whom. And rules about when certain behavior is appropriate. And ancient humans weren't necessarily sitting in one crowded room all day. Hunter-gatherer groups moved through landscapes. They traveled. They searched for food. They collected water. They hunted, they gathered plants, and they sometimes spread out. That matters. Because privacy doesn't have to mean being inside a room. It can simply mean being out of sight and out of earshot. Imagine a couple leaving the main camp. They could walk behind vegetation, move farther away from the sleeping area, or take advantage of a natural feature in the landscape, a rock formation, a small depression in the ground, dense vegetation, or simply a location far enough from everyone else. There didn't need to be a door. The distance itself could create privacy. And there's another solution humans have had for thousands of years. Timing. You don't necessarily need everyone to leave. You just need the right moment. Maybe people are busy gathering food. Maybe part of the group has gone hunting. Maybe others are traveling. Maybe children are occupied elsewhere. Or maybe the camp becomes quieter at certain times of day. Privacy can be created by combining distance, timing, and social understanding. And that idea is much older than bedrooms. Now here's where the situation gets interesting. Imagine you're living with 30 other people. You know almost everyone. You know who's related to whom. You know which couples are together. You know who has children. And everyone knows you. That sounds like the worst possible environment for privacy. But it might actually create a different kind of privacy. Because when everyone knows the social rules, people don't necessarily need physical barriers to enforce them. Modern privacy is often architectural. We build walls. We build doors. We build locks. We build fences. Ancient privacy could have been much more social. People knew what was acceptable. They knew when not to interfere. And they knew when someone wanted to be left alone. There's actually a bigger reason this matters. Modern humans tend to think of privacy as a physical thing. A bedroom, a bathroom, a house, a phone with a password, a locked door. But privacy is really a social concept. A door only works because everyone agrees that you're allowed to close it. A lock only works because everyone agrees that they shouldn't break it. And even today, you can have privacy without a wall. If you're walking with your partner and fall behind the group, people can understand that you're having a private conversation. Nobody needs to construct a building. The social agreement creates the boundary. So, how did ancient humans have sex without privacy? The answer probably isn't, they didn't care, and it probably isn't, everyone watched. The reality was likely much more human. They had relationships. They had social rules. They had personal boundaries. They could use distance. They could use timing. And they could rely on other people understanding when to leave them alone. In other words, privacy didn't have to be built. Sometimes, privacy could simply be agreed upon. And there's something almost ironic about this. The reason this question feels so strange to us is because modern humans have become surrounded by walls. We sleep behind walls. We eat behind walls. We work behind walls. We shower behind walls. We raise children behind walls. And when we want intimacy, we close another wall. So we've almost forgotten what life feels like without them. But our ancestors didn't necessarily need to build a separate room to create a private moment. They had something older. They had each other. They knew their group. They understood relationships. They understood boundaries. And they understood when someone wanted to be alone. So the next time you close your bedroom door, remember how unusual that simple action really is. Because the walls around you aren't what created privacy. They just made an ancient human idea much easier. For most of human history, privacy wasn't something you could lock. It was something people understood. And maybe that's one of the strangest things about being human. We didn't just learn how to build shelters. We learned how to build boundaries. And sometimes, those boundaries didn't need walls at all.